Hey guys, this is Mauisnake going over Boombl4, the second player in my pro player analysis series for this upcoming ELEAGUE Major. Kirill is his first name, and that is, if you keep up with your CIS teams, actually the first name of Angel for Hellraisers. Just kind of a weird coincidence that they are both the highest rated players on their team and have the same first name. Also, one of my teammates on one of my previous teams from Ukraine, Clicks, had that same name, and he was pretty good too. So just going over some of his numbers, he had a 1.1 HLTV 2.0 rating in the past year. His other teammates had pretty similar ratings to him. It's kind of hard to say what these ratings really mean, though, given that the competition they've played against in the past year hasn't been all too stellar. This has definitely been one of their biggest victories of the year, coming in second place at the major, or the minor that they played in. And it's kind of hard to guess whether this team will do all that well in the upcoming major. But we're going to be watching Boombl4. I noticed a lot of casters just calling him Boom. And we're going to see how he plays against Team Spirit. And this game was actually very important. This was the decider game in the final BO3 in the minor semis. So this is when basically everyone was trying their absolute hardest. The winner of this game was going to be moving on to the finals. And at the time, that was the major qualifier. But now, given the stage of the major and how it's going to be played out, that's actually going to be the major itself. So this is both teams trying their hardest. They're going all out for this. And yeah, let's get to it. So first round, he's going to be moving towards A with his teammates. Looks like they're doing an A setup for Spirit here. Almost seems like an anti-strat, actually. Committing this many players to this position seems a little anti-strat. I don't know if they knew what Spirit's kind of play would be, but regardless, he doesn't actually get any kills, but he's actually able to bait out a lot of shots there. Pretty impressive stuff. And now it's a 2-on-5. So notice how they move back as a team. They're not going to give up any kills for free. He is kind of playing a 1v1 angle here, but although Waterfalls is actually peaked with him, and now he's just playing a really safe angle behind the APC, and they're all just kind of grouped up together. Just kind of notice how close they all are together. They're giving up the whole B bomb site to the terrorists, but in doing so, they know that if they actually Spirit, that is, plant at the B bomb site, it's going to be a 5-on-2 retake. Something that is totally manageable, especially when they have a kit and a smoke on no. Some of these names are a little confusing. I'm sorry if I mispronounce them, but you're going to have to get through it with me. Okay, so we see him going in second here. Nothing too unusual yet. Oh, so pretty snappy aim already is what we're seeing here, and I'm pretty sure he's dapping up his teammates, giving them a little high fives, little bumps. But this is a pretty important game for them, so let's just see how it turns out. Notice his knife, by the way, says "make my .bet." Not promoting any gambling sites, however, it seems kind of typical that CIS teams would take skins from a gambling site. No hate whatsoever, though. A lot of players have knives and skins that have betting sites on them, but just something to note. All right, so second round, he's going to be playing. This is going to be their more standard setup, of course. Waterfalls or JMQA is going to be playing pretty aggressively there. And he's playing kind of a supporting position here, just playing farther back, just using his utility, keeping them back. That was kind of a bad smoke, actually, but this molly is going to end up really good. It's going to isolate some of the members of Team Spirit. And he's just playing with his teammate on the site. I'm just going to volume down a little bit. So, things to note so far about how he's played this is that with the ump, you usually kind of want to get a little closer, a little more personal, not really play the range game, but he knows that his life is actually quite valuable, and he's going to play more, closer to his teammate, JMQA, knowing that if JMQA dies, he can at least salvage his M4 for one, and two, he's going to be playing on the bomb site, so if the Ts are going to push up, they do have to eventually take a close angle on him. So pretty standard movements, I'd say. And notice how they move to the side together. The rest of his team does rotate in from connector, so he kind of allows them to have that space. By putting himself and JMQ8 in this area, his teammates are able to come out in these areas without having any kind of cluster issues, blocking each other perhaps, and yeah, just able to, I mean, just making that space. CTs want to rotate through heaven and through the door, sometimes through the murder hole, rat hole area, and by playing on the site, he's giving up that space. He's still watching that kind of right side sometimes too, he was. So now, against the full eco, he just doesn't want to get run over by Glocks. This isn't usually the spot you'd want to play with an ump, as I've called out before. However, just spotting it and knows that he can now get on the bomb site. Looks like he's pretty comfortable with this kind of play, just spotting it with the SMG and then moving to the bomb site. This is kind of similar movements to what he did in the previous round as well, and he had some nice tap shots on Arch there. And yeah, it seems to be kind of his normal route so far, is playing towards the slope, maybe back APC or front APC area, and then moving to the site. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays the first gun round, though, as Spirit is going to be buying up with pretty much nearly full utility and AKs. Wow, it's actually not a single member of Spirit have a kill so far. This is pretty crazy. But yeah, we're going to probably be seeing him play a little more close up here, as he does. So notice something with Quantum Bellator so far is that they're very into the buddy system when they play. They, instead of playing two separate, pretty strong angles, they value playing together a little more than playing strong angles separately. And that's kind of a team decision. Notice he's helping his teammate with the boost, but now they're going for slope presence. They were playing long together, and now they're playing slope together. And these kind of decisions just, even though they don't always put you in the best of positions in a round, they can frequently just, you can just trade out. You're probably going to go 1 for 1, 2 for 1, with positional advantage of just being CTs and being set up in positions and knowing the Ts have to run out on you. So just kind of interesting. I think that might be a more Quantum Bellator kind of play style than perhaps an individual decision from Boom. However, it's still interesting to note, it did seem like they got a little crowded on the second round when he was playing with his teammate, but they can still handle it pretty well. And yep, Spirit definitely going to be taking a timeout here. Fast forward. Okay. So he still keeps the ump too. Another interesting idea. Actually, yeah, they should actually know their money. They just beat them on a gun round, on a buy round at least. And this isn't a bad decision by any means. His teammates have like 3 AKs off. This is a pretty decked out CT side right now. So one thing to note is that he's not really actually jiggling this angle at all. He's not strafing out and in very much. He doesn't want to get timing, but he is strafing a lot because a nasty 1D can catch someone there. It's not something I usually see players do. They usually want to strafe out, then in, out, then in. What that does is it gives the peeker a huge advantage if they catch you as you're strafing back into the door. Little micro decisions like that can really save your life sometimes. Because if someone just posts up on him with a scout or a deagle, whatever they buy into this round, it's very possible for them to just post up on his angle and catch him off guard as he's just strafing back out because they knew exactly where he was peeking. So again, using this angle that he really likes, and I think his team has alerted him to the whereabouts of the bomb and most of the players, and he's just going to try to keep himself alive here. He actually stops engaging entirely, and just able to pick up one there. And they're just racking up a lot of money here. He's not even upgrading his ump yet, which is pretty surprising given how much money he has. If he actually wins this round, actually after buying utility, he won't be over 16k, but if he hadn't, he would have 3250 on top of what he had, 13,000, would have definitely hit that 16k limit. Not something you want to ever do. Still just going to stick with the ump. likely going to see him... Okay, so throws the smoke immediately, and yeah, just going to go back to the buddy system, playing with his teammate at long A. Moved up pretty quickly here. And now he's just jiggling this angle. I don't really think that's a great angle to jiggle with the ump. I kind of wish him and JMQA switch positions just a little bit. It's not a big deal, and you don't want to get timinged in the round, so maybe that's why they make Boom do that. But again, boosting the rifle up instead of Boom. And now he's just going to play close. So, looks like they had some kind of read that Spirit were doing this, or perhaps the IGL just assumed that they were going to be moving over to this A-bomb site somehow, based on some kind of read. It looks like they do have some anti-strats for Spirit. And Boom actually going to get aggressive there, getting flashed in. Good teamwork from his teammate, and getting a flash in, getting a free kill. When you have an ump, you're always pretty willing to trade for an AK there. And despite losing the round, they still have a lot of economy to go into this one. So finally, we're going to see a rifle round from Boom. So perhaps they will play a couple different angles here. But it looks like he starts pretty much every round the same way by throwing that smoke there. And if Spirit were to have known how Quantum actually played it, they might decide to push it sometimes or try their luck through it. But it's a pretty big risk, not something you're always going to see from professional teams, even if they have a strong feeling. If you're not 100% certain, or there's no real desperation in the beginning of the round, there's no real reason to push a smoke like that. So notice they're butting up once again in the danger position. Just Boom hanging out here with his buddy JMQA. Pretty much always got each other's backs. Always some kind of crossfire as well. If this is to go down, Boom could easily strafe to the right, and JMQA could just hold the angle for him as they run in. You can't really, there's not really the bait and switch here as much, but what's going to obviously happen here is Boom is completely aware of the Spirit member's position, and instead of trying to get the trade, he decides to move out through danger. Clearly, due to the result, it would be assumed that that is the wrong play. There's some reasoning behind it, in that he can potentially get a flank off, or maybe catch the member of Spirit if he's rotating back to try to go to B. I didn't obviously expect the op to be there. Kind of wish we saw a trade try to come out from him. I think that wouldn't have been too hard of a trade, but well, that's just his decision making, I guess. So. Okay, once again, throwing the smoke down to the water position, just covering off mid, and this is one round they're actually not going to be playing the buddy system too much. I don't know what made him change that. Their setups have been pretty good so far. It's kind of unfortunate he got caught not trading that other kill, but it looks like his team is going to be holding down B pretty well so far. That should seal out the round. Pretty well lined up Molotov. Not like the trickiest throw or anything like that, but pretty good. And now Spirit's reset. Money's pretty low. You'd probably expect a force buy to come out if you're Quantum. They know that. I mean, they're gonna have to double save anyways. They didn't really have enough economy going into this round to merit a save, but yep. And he's going to start again by Molotoving this position. And just interesting to note that he uses a Molotov on the anti-eco instead of a smoke, which he usually has been throwing on the gun rounds. It's clearly going to stop them a little more, with a little more impact than the smoke would. It's a little too easy for terrorists to just run out of that smoke sometimes, and for them to just plow through the middle position. And once they plow through that, what happens is if terrorists have this water position, they can strafe out and double peek very easily. They can strafe from the bottom position, and they can strafe from farther back. They can even, if they really time it well, they can line up a third guy to kind of stagger the shots, just the burst or the spray from the CTs, and can be pretty effective. So don't really want to give him that position too quickly and let yourself get overwhelmed. So the Molotov is a good choice. So he's going to be handling an A split momentarily, and I'm interested to see where he decides to position himself for it. He's actually going to focus on long, which... Perfect nade. Good timing on everything so far. It was... Dav Coast could have had him had he moved out a little earlier, but after having just killed Dav Coast's teammate after he just fell, it's pretty unlikely that he's just going to run through the smoke too and let himself die that easily. So tried timing Boom just a little bit there, and if Boom didn't have that nade, he probably would have got caught and killed. He might have got a bomb plant down for Spirit, but really good hold from him there, and that was some quick decision making, and that was pretty much one of the best decisions you can make. You can either focus on the connector position, or you can focus on long. Since he had the smoke for long, he knew he can post up on it. If the T's would have waited, they would have probably got crunched by the members of Quantum at B. So it's very likely for them to want to just get that pinch in, get it going, and yeah, Spirit just wanted to get into that bomb site. So very smart for Boom to actually use his smoke there and not let anything unfold that could have taken him out. Now he's tasked with watching a couple angles here. But, so, anti-eco, snappy shots. Notice when he flicked to the guy at ramp, he actually overshot it, but was able to really quickly correct. That's just pretty impressive. Had the member of Spirit had an AK, he probably would have died. However, he was able to probably shoot 1 or 2 shots there, and then correct his burst. I wouldn't even call it a spray, given that it took about 3 shots to kill that guy. He was able to correct that burst so quickly and with such accuracy. Just impressive aim coming out from him. And that's a pretty hard situation too, having to deal with guys from peeking you from literally 2 angles at the same time. Just okay, that's one of the more questionable things I've seen Boom do all game. T's spam that wall a lot. I guess they hadn't done it thus far, so he thought he could get away with playing that kind of angle. But again, he starts the round throwing his smoke, but instead tries to post behind it. Takes a lot of gunfire though, and that's something a lot of T's do in the default. And so what it looks like they're trying to do here is, instead of just having him hole up on the A bomb site, he's going to be kind of a clutch ninja guy that hangs out in this chicken coop area. And this can pay off huge if the T's decide to go to B. Whereas if he stayed on the A bomb site, it would have been pretty unlikely that he would have gotten much done. 22 health, just 1 stray nade, a pretty well-placed Molotov, just straight bullet, you know, would have taken him out here. So I really actually like this decision, given how it's playing out. I mean, it could have been a gamble that he would have simply just had no impact in the round at all. He would have had to rotate from B to A and just got killed as soon as he entered anywhere, but this seems to be pretty good. Doesn't seem like he's going to get anything out of this. Maybe he's going to kill the guy on plat, but yep. He's able to just stay alive and hold his gun in the next round. And that's actually something that Quantum's been really good at thus far. It could be a combination of Spirit not hitting their shots, but at the same time, Quantum is keeping a lot of their members alive through all these rounds. And look at just the economy over here. I'll press tab to show it. Nearly 10,000 on 3 of their members, 6,000 on 1. Only 1 guy beneath even 3,000. Just, that's really impressive stuff from an economy standpoint. And yeah, Spirit aren't getting many kills on the board, so that might be their fault as well. But the way they positioned Boom there was clearly just had kind of just his life in mind. And a lot of players would kind of, at that point with 20 health, just play kind of a standard spot, probably just taken out in the really normal, just really standard kind of duel or engagement, and really easily at that. So just their set of procedures throughout a round just seems pretty actually kind of, I guess, well thought out. So Boom starting the way he's starting every single round, just throwing the smoke. This I guess they're gonna throw a double nade here, and they seem to like doing that actually quite a bit, throwing the double nade. So this is kind of a really standard way to hold the A bomb site. If you don't really hold A, this is really, there's not too much innovation here. I'd say this is kind of how I'd say a lot of premier level players would do it. You'd see SK for example though gets really creative sometimes. They just get they get more aggressive. They don't really give up control for free. Whereas Quantum here kind of is giving up control for free. The thing is, Spirit's not taking it, so they're not getting punished for it. But they're kind of giving up that middle position without too much trouble. They're also not really fighting for long anymore. They fought more when they had umps, or just worse utility, worse guns in general. But now they're kind of just giving it up. And if Spirit had a really good A exec that involved getting long control, I know teams like Envious would really punish this, as they have a really set way to get control. And just going to be rotating on an anti-eco. Again, this doesn't look, all too crazy. He's going to throw a flash. Probably help hunt the kill. Actually, team flashes. And he should really pick up that AK, but I'm pretty sure he's dapping his teammates right there. Hey, nice job. Nice getting those eco frags. So, yep, on to the next round. Yeah, back to what I was saying before. A lot of pro teams will get a little, they just won't give up this control for free. So, a lot of teams, terrorist teams, like to get this kind of positioning. Just kind of like everything here, they like to have it. They like to control this. Whereas Quantum just kind of are giving it up. They're sending one guy right here to hold it, and Boom is just playing this spot nearly every round at this point. The thing is that it's not horrible to play the same spot over and over again when the Ts haven't really seen you play the same spot. So they've basically been running a setup. It's not a really creative or a great one at that, but they've been running it over and over again, and until the Ts actually challenge it or try to just breach it, there's no real reason to actually change it. And Spirit's been having so much trouble just doing basically anything that there's no real reason to do too much there. Okay, now he's making a play through the smoke, and knows he has to definitely even it up a little bit more if he wants to have a chance back into this round. After his team gets entry pretty well, he's been such a nuisance in their side, just a thorn in their side, that it's really actually brought them back into this round, 2v2, and he's actually going to go all the way around, perhaps. I was somehow reading that Spirit are not going to commit to planning at B, and now he's trying to reunite, I think, with his teammate, and this is just going to throw Spirit for a loop here. They definitely aren't going to think that he's going to be flanking. They might think his teammate, I'm not sure if they thought that JMQA, if they're aware of his position. But yeah, Boom doing this is probably just a round-winning play. It's pretty unlikely that Dav is going to be aware of this, and he's probably just going to run upstairs and just die here. And, well, he gets spotted, but now he's just drawing the attention of Dav. And, oddly enough, Dav couldn't find the kill there. That was kind of weird. I really figured Boom was died there. But Dav never really committed to any of the fights there, and that's kind of his fault. But something you definitely notice with watching pros versus just amateurs is that how much they reposition themselves in late round situations. I don't think most players at the amateur level would decide to make that huge roundabout flank. Ended up not being all too fruitful. However, it did corner Dav costs a little bit, so it did actually pay off. And so Boom has some pretty interesting just rotations in the late round. Using his utility really well there. That was a really great lineup that he had behind on top slope. And sorry for kind of freezing there, but I haven't really seen that lineup too much, but it actually worked out perfectly, and it really stemmed the push from Spirit. And actually they decided to reroute, and he basically solo held that with a smoke and a Molotov, and that's pretty impressive. And now Spirit has relinquished all this map control, and I'm starting to just kind of see how Spirit lost this game almost more than how Boom is winning it for his team. But really interesting wide peek there. I guess he figured that they fell off the position, and by getting that kind of information, it can really help you secure the round for sure. If you know that they're not long, with 40 seconds left into the round, you know they're going to be. It gives your team ample time to rotate, set up for positions, use nades to slow their push, stop any kind of rush. So potentially a round-winning play. However, Spirit decided to play it almost in a retake stance, how they just retook long A there. They didn't even do anything special, they just caught Boom trying to wide peek them. Okay, so Boom's playing what most teams would call the A rotate position, if that's not apparent by now, and is oftentimes responsible for drop. Ooh. Oh, this Molotov was scary. I think he might have died from it. Okay, Bogdan's Law, and he's gonna pull out the CZ even though he was dropped the op. And he's able to get an op kill on the board too. So pretty dominant first half from Boom and the rest of his team. Let's try to go over what he did on CT side. So really static player in the opening round, doesn't really go for anything special, but that's kind of the nature of Cobble. I chose Cobble, this map, because it was such a high pressure situation for both teams that you would see Boom trying to do everything he possibly can to win the round, to win every single round, to not give anything up, to play well within his own game. But what we saw so far is that he played, very statically. He actually uses utility pretty dang well. That Molotov to stop the Spirit Rush through middle of A was really just well placed. And it seems like his team has really good procedures for just keeping people alive on anti-ecos or even gun rounds. And that's something that's pretty impressive and probably will go under the radar, given that at the Major, I don't really know if I could say this team is up to par in terms of skill with a lot of the other teams that are going to be competing. Maybe in the qualifier kind of challenger stage that they'll stack up decently. I mean, who knows? It's kind of hard to say given that they haven't played on a huge stage before, or at least succeeded on one in the last year. So other stuff, they also like to play the buddy system a lot. That was kind of what they were going to in the beginning. So in the early rounds, for probably the first 7 or so rounds, they would consistently double up with each other, him and JMQA. And they would just play together, and he didn't really upgrade for a long time either. That helped them build the economy even more, and just kind of in doing so, helped them have this kind of landslide victory of this half. It's still going to be a long game. If you can see the demo UI, pretty much just half done. It gets a lot closer than this. So let's see the Terror side. So pretty static, not as let's say interesting as maybe some other players would play it. Even at A, you would see sometimes more creativity coming out from other professionals. So kind of static, kind of basic stuff. I really liked the way he played late round situations. I thought that showed some of his personality there. It's not something you would normally see, a guy flashing through a smoke then running all the way back. But yeah. So starts the round by getting hit by a pretty fat rock flash, and just spamming the Glock away. Able to pick that up, and 1v3. Actually left the bomb on Plat, and that's really gonna put his teammate on edge, I would assume. Oh, that's just a few too many whiffs. And he's actually able to close it out. Okay, 13-3. I don't know, didn't see too much that was interesting there. It's kind of like the second in on a pistol strat that kind of was half based off spawn anyways, so it's hard to say whether or not that really would have been all too... it's hard to say whether that was totally planned or not, without knowing the comms or the normal strategies that they run. But interesting that he elects to buy a grenade on the second round, as opposed to flashbang. Smoke and a nade. I mean, it boosts those HLTV stats. However, not always the most tactically sound thing to buy. It's okay. I mean, I don't think it's that bad actually. Especially when they always do this. They double nade a lot. This QBF team. QB fire. That was a really good smoke. Looks like Arch through that for Spirit. That just stopped the whole push. And now, given most anti-eco's kind of procedure, that just, I mean, it takes so much map control away from the Ts. It allows not only the CTs time to rotate if they decide to execute after it, but they probably, most anti-ecos have heavy commitments from Ts. And yeah, just getting stopped in their tracks like that just gives up a lot of space, and it's actually able to get a couple of these Spirit members in some nice positions, and getting dinked there by his teammate was probably the nail in the coffin for this round, as it alerted the Spirit member of his position, and he just gets taken out the second he peeks. That's super unfortunate for him. So there was some flashes for his teammates, and so he kind of seems to be the second in on some of these plays. Still a little early to tell, hasn't had a really pure gun round thus far, so it's hard to say whether or not this is his usual spot, but he is going to be put in the clutch situation here. This was going to be a fake of sorts. It was going to be an A-split, but they got so shut down and dropped that they weren't actually able to accomplish much there. And yeah, with no CZ and no armor, it's going to be nearly impossible to get this. I think he has to kind of hope his teammate gets a frag, because this is really rough. He's not going to check that corner. So, all right, another round goes on the board for Spirit. So it almost seems like kind of like a second, third in support role player. That's how I find a lot of highly rated HLTV players to be, is that they kind of are these third in guys. And let's fast forward this. Which kind of lends itself to HLTV ratings a little more. The HLTV rating is calculated, putting an emphasis on kills and an emphasis on not dying. And you aren't going to come out behind with HLTV rating if you go 1.0 kill death, but it's much easier to have a really good rating if you don't die. And that's kind of what happens with these third guys. That being said, I'm kind of interested in having kind of like pro player analysis for kind of like the bottom rated players on top teams, because I think, I mean, everyone kind of knows that these guys don't get the glory, they don't get the highlight frags as much, so it'd be kind of interesting to see how maybe probably like entry fraggers or other people play. But finally, a gun round coming out of Boom, and he's going to be the 1 in a 1-4 default, and he's just going to be trying to flush out some A-nades. Nothing really too crazy. I don't even think he drew much attention from the CTs there. Davkos still has a Molly and a flash, and he's playing A, along with Arch, who has his full nade set. He wasn't phased at all. And it's like just the rest of his team's going to be going off in the default here as they get drop control, get a little bit of plat control. So now he's just watching the flank entirely. Were this round to have gone differently, I'm sure we would have seen some kind of play come out from him, but his team is just taking such a commanding control over this bomb site that it's pretty unlikely to see too much come out of him. And notice he's still being very cautious about his approach to the bomb site. He's not overcommitting. He's waiting for the molly to go away. He's getting the bomb down finally, and he's forced to play 2v2 out with his teammate. And let's see how he plays this final. Okay, here's the scope. You should have this. Alright. So there is snappy aim kind of comes into play there in the clutch. 2v1. Not super clutch, but the one duel he gets him on the second bullet. This guy is really fast at adjusting his aim. He seems to actually miss a lot of first bullets, but he's very quick at readjusting his shot. Double ops setup coming out of Spirit. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes down. So it kind of reminds me of his CT side, the way he plays T side already. He kind of just throws a nade at a lot of nades and utility usage just at the beginning of rounds. I wouldn't see Spirit or Quantum really changing their play, given the previous rounds just utter success. They just simply just waltzed into drop and plat. I mean, I can't see the exact utility usage and way they're getting map control here, but they seem so effective at it that I don't see why they would change it. That collat there is going to really dampen their spirits into this round, and kind of an awkward Molotov, but yeah, just really far behind. It kind of seems baity, actually. So like he's being really thorough, but definitely seemed like his team needed some help getting in here, but he just took his sweet time, and not necessarily the worst thing if it's going to net you wins, but could have been detrimental to just getting space, and now he's just trapped here. And I think the CTs are pretty aware of his position. Oh my god, 1 HP. Is he going to really go for a kind of huge play back there? And moving away seemed to be his downfall there. He couldn't hear the tap of the defuse. Sometimes the smoke kind of masks it, so he did feel just the pressure to peek that, but had he stayed a little closer, I mean, he just as equally could have been hit by a stray bullet if he stayed too close, and the guy just would have been shooting him from broken wall, so kind of an interesting way to play that. He did narrow it down to a 1v1 from being a 2v3, I think, at one point, so, and he got every kill in that 2v3, so really close. Just literally bullet away from closing that one out. Boom actually kind of reminds me of Taco, surprisingly. The way Taco plays is he frequently on these kind of rounds will be watching the flank, just kind of holds, doesn't really make any plays in the default at all, but just kind of expends a little bit of utility. Taco doesn't, I don't think Taco uses as much utility, I'd say, as Boom does at the beginning of rounds, but he just kind of holds angles for a long time and just kind of waits for the play to develop with his team going first. And then it's usually up to Taco to try to win some impossible clutches sometimes. Or sometimes they, on execs, they'll send Taco in first. It doesn't happen as much anymore as it did in the FNX days. But it's surprising that someone that has what I would say to be one of the less glamorous roles actually has one of the better ratings for the team. I'm clearing every angle here. And this actually kind of reminds me of how Taco plays with Fallen, actually. Taco usually will clear a lot of these close angles, while Fallen will take the engagement towards long A in their A default, and JMQA is taking the Fallen role, and Boom is playing the Taco role. Really similar stuff. Not exactly the same kind of play way SK would go about doing it, but very similar in that Boom is clearing all the angles, while his teammate takes the main points. You take the point. So, just a P250 pistol up by. So I was just going to see them kind of throw this one away. What really, this might just be a personal thing, but really kind of is a bummer is when you have these kind of pistol rounds, and you should always try to win, but when a pistol round like this, you put a lot of thought into it, you really kind of fight tooth and nail for every square inch of the map, and then you just kind of get mowed down by some kind of just M4 spray, and you just kind of wasted all that time. And kind of is a little more morally just degrading. It just kind of just runs on you a little harder than if you just kind of ran out. And I mean, they're doing good damage here, so this is nothing to be ashamed of. 2 kills with that kind of buy, pretty impressive. And all of that was done with just movement. There weren't any nades being thrown. They just were using distractions made by one player and playing off of those distractions. And definitely seems to favor this position here in the default. But that's actually not a bad round, I'd say, all things considered. So Boom again is going to be watching the flank here. This is turning out to be one of the more just static players I've seen coming out of just kind of the pro level. Doing a lot of the same stuff over and over again. It's kind of also not that I mean, I'll comment on it after I see what he does here. So, using his same nade set to try to get water control. He actually decides to push in with this. That smoke's not actually all too great, so... He's just throwing all of his nades to try to fake some kind of control. It's not even really phasing the members of Spirit at all. I don't know if I can really blame him for that, or I would blame the strat. Like, these strats just seem kind of lackluster in general. They're just going for this double drop, several out plat kind of play, and not too much creativity coming out of QBF here. And they're just going to kind of dry peek plat, and boom again with just such good correctional aim. And still taking his time with this. And he's going to get the bomb down. Probably going to throw his smoke towards door or actually flank. And that should secure the round for sure at this point. One thing to notice is that although this is not the most favorable of positions to play by the broken wall, CTs can run out and easily and instantly kill you. He decides to hold it, given that his smoke is right there. I think a lot of players in this position would run to the stairs immediately after throwing the smoke, but all that allows you to happen is for you to get timing. If the guy runs out the smoke at that exact moment that you do that, as he would hear you running to the stairs, that gives him a way back into the round. And by just holding the smoke, there's really no way to lose it if your smoke's decent and you don't just get running headshotted or something crazy. So just kind of like little micro interesting decisions like that that seem really simple and basic actually go a long way in just making sure that your team doesn't throw rounds that are well in your favor or should otherwise be secured. So QBF going with a timeout here. Something, again, that I hate to see when you have an advantage and you just won a round. This is actually very much reminiscent of the Tai Lu game I just watched with Ben Tet, where they had an advantage, they took a timeout despite having a lead, despite having the economic advantage, and they ended up losing it to Gambit. Slight spoiler here, they do end up winning this. I mean, they're in the major after all, and I've already prefaced this all by saying that this was in the minor qualifier, or the minor itself. Minor, major qualifier, I guess. I mean, geez, there's just so many qualifiers to get here. Okay, so they're finally going for some A presence this time, and Boom. The thing I don't like about the way they did this is that Boom didn't throw his normal nade set. This kind of just signals a little more how, like, all the utility that they're throwing is signaling to Spirit that they're going for more A presence. What actually is turning out to happen, though, is that QBF is faking it. And it's actually drawing the rotations really well. So this is actually, although I didn't really like how it was starting, maybe how obvious it all seemed is actually paying off, as they pulled 3 people to the A bomb site. Now it's a 4-on-2 onto the B bomb site. And now Boom is just getting to lurk here, and this is a really favorable position. He should be able to catch some rotators, and he actually does catch 2. And that was a really effective lurk, basically exactly what you want out of your lurker. And but somehow his team wasn't able to win the 4-on-2 on the bomb site or get out fast enough, and that's just gonna lose him the round, I guess. And despite Boom playing nearly I'd say perfectly there. I think Boom played that exactly how he should have. His team was unable to get onto the bomb site, and just things like that, like 4-on-2s getting onto the bomb site, give me a little doubt about Quantum's. They ran the perfect strat. They had the exact engagement that they wanted, but they weren't able to get 4 guys onto a bomb site against 2. Just really, that just makes me question how likely QBF's possibilities in this upcoming major are. Just pure skill and trading and spacing should get you onto that bomb site 9 out of 10 times, and the fact that Spirit were actually able to hold it, making it just kind of like a 10% chance that they were actually just succeeding with those odds is yeah, it's not looking good. Those are things they got to clean up for sure. Who knows? Maybe they're going to boot camp extra hard. Everyone's going to have 140 hours in the past 2 weeks when they show up to the major, and they're going to just dominate. But those kind of things should just be pretty innate for a team. Alright, so just kind of going back to his normal standard default play, just kind of holding A by himself. This is something that, I mean, you could run on your team, running a single player towards A. It does just make the CT's lives a lot less mysterious, though, when the same kind of diet of nades and lack of aggression is being thrown at them round in, round out. Again, it's just, comes off just kind of just stale, and nothing against Boom in particular, but you only need one round here. If you can just kind of walk out and get a really unexpected pick, that can just throw such a wrench into Team Spirit's equation that could have been really effective. Had to look for something himself. Too bad his teammate who actually had the rifle got traded out. And now we're going to see another QBF timeout here. Just going to be a full pistol buy. Glocks on Glock. So let's see what Boom actually tries to do on this round here. Doing a little cricket dance. The right click of the Glock as he's jumping out. And kind of cheesy. Didn't really pull any kind of rotates. Did make the CTs look a little bit, but because it wasn't supplemented by any kind of split or pinch, didn't really have any effect. CTs lost a lot of information, but that's just kind of the nature of Cobble. You're gonna give up positions over time. You're gonna hole up more into the bomb sites as the round goes on usually, and they tried just going all through drop, and that just proves ineffective as Sotfik is able to take them all out. Again, I mean, nothing too crazy there to go over. Just a pretty standard round. It would have been nice to see him maybe jump out just a little earlier, as opposed to waiting. But this isn't really supposed to be a critique. It's supposed to be more of an analysis. Just the way... But it's turning out to be more of a critique of how they're playing. The way they trying to close this out just seems really kind of odd. So showing a lot of presence towards A. The last time they did this, though, it was a fake, so might make Spirit second guess it a little bit. You can see that the A rotator, or the drop rotator Softic, isn't fully committed to this A play yet, and Davkos is actually looking for more information because he thinks that it's possibly a fake, and you can see that just based off of the positioning of Softic, he's not fully committed to this A hit either. So, and Softic is actually moving his way back to the B bomb site because they think the same thing's going to be run. So Quantum is actually throwing quite a few mind games into this round and a lot of these terrorist rounds, but we'll see if it actually pans out as... Okay, Waterfalls gets the entry. That should be, given the positions of a lot of the CTs, I'd be surprised if they don't close it out on here. And that is going to be it. Boom, only getting a single kill on the last round. Something with Quantum is they don't kind of just run out a lot of the time. Seems like they just kind of take the first fight they get and they just kind of crouch peek it or just start spraying or something like that. And I mean, that's fine sometimes if you get the kill, but other times it can really mess up your spacing, as it seemed to have done, might have done at B earlier in rounds. But let's go over Boom just briefly and sum up his T side there. So Boom, I don't know, he's not as interesting as I honestly would have hoped. And I don't know how I'm really... This wasn't supposed to be a prediction kind of thing, but after watching this, I might put Quantum as one of the teams that doesn't make it out. I'm not going to go as far as the 0-3, because there's a lot of funky teams that are in the challenger bracket of this major, but nonetheless, that's Boombl4 for you. Very standard player on defaults and T side and CT side. He has pretty, I'd say, decent utility usage. he's not a player I would recommend. I guess if you really want to learn a spot and you know Boom plays it, I think you're going to get a really standard sense of how to play the spot, how to play your position, how to just kind of expect things, and maybe how to respond to things on other maps. For example, on T-side Cobble, you're not going to get much CT aggression in your face, so you don't have to actually respond to a lot of things. But I could imagine on maps such as just Mirage or whatever, he's probably going to face some more aggression from CTs, and I'm sure he has a good checklist of handling it, because if you watch the CT side, you could see that when the T's pushed him, he had a very nice checklist that he went through. And I think a player that this reminds me of is actually World Edit. World Edit goes through very standard motions for a lot of different situations. If you see World Edit play, you'll see that anytime some kind of exec hits him, he doesn't try to mix it up in his play. He tries to just encounter it the same way he's encountered it a million times before with all of his experience. And I really think that's how Boom is trying to approach the game as well. He's trying to let the experience do a lot of the work, and that might be how Quantum got so far. It didn't actually seem like there was a lot of skill on this roster, raw skill. They actually had trouble kind of winning duels or getting into bomb sites where they would have had the advantage. However, their ability to just run the same motions is what gives teams like Astralis, for example, an edge in high-pressure games. They are running through the same motions over and over again. Boom is running through the same motions over and over again, and he's very familiar with situations. He knows what to expect, and he's just likes playing within his comfort zone. He did do some really interesting stuff in that one post-plant retake situation, but given the money that they had, and just he really played to win that, and he played it really well. So props to him on that one. But yep, that concludes my review for Boom. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, send any feedback this way. By the way, turn my fan off. Got a comment about how the fan was kind of annoying, and today was just a little cooler, so I didn't need it on today. Hope you appreciate me turning the fan off for this. So thanks, guys. Bye.